Welcome back, everybody. We've got yet another great college basketball matchup. We got the Jimmy V Classic in Madison Square Garden. Number 15, Florida versus number 5, UConn. Obviously, these are subject to change since this is being recorded before the AP poll comes out for the next week. So UConn is coming off for UConn this season, they have beat number 7 BYU, lost to number 4 Arizona by a slim margin of 4, beat 13 Illinois in Chicago. Not a true home game for Illinois, but they beat them 74-61 pretty handedly, and then they beat Kansas, number 21 at the time, in their place. So very good resume so far for UConn. As far as Florida, every ranked team they've played, they lost to 13 Arizona, first game of the season, lost by 6 in that one, and then lost to TCU, which is kind of deteriorating for this resume, and then lost their last game at Duke. Very tough game, very hard-fought game for both teams, lost by 1 in that game. So Florida is obviously on the national championship hangover. Is it time to hit the panic button, or are you guys giving them a few more games before you are ready to hit that button?
I'd give them a few more games personally. They put up a great fight against Duke. You could argue they could have almost won that game. Lost by 1. So that's a solid team. They just beat Michigan State. I'd give Florida a few more games.
Yeah, I'd give Florida a few games as well. Like he said, they just lost on a defensive mishap. Bad one, might I add. But I think really all this team's missing is some more points from their transfer from Princeton and Xavier Lee. He's replacing what was Walter Clayton Jr.'s spot. And
hard shoes to fill.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. When you're in the SEC, you're not playing nearly as easy of a schedule as Princeton. He's only averaging 8 this year, whereas last year he was averaging 17. But, he's got to be able to come into the shoes that are there for him, and I think that'll take a little more time. But, I really think that's all they're missing on this team is a star point guard.
Yeah, I wouldn't hit the panic button either, but I would say once they get solidly into SEC play, if they're dropping a few more games, that's when you got to hit the panic button. But yeah, you mentioned it. Xavier Lee needs to step up. So far, they've got 2 great scorers in Thomas Hall, the junior forward, and Alex Condon, another junior forward. Thomas Hall is averaging 18.6. He's played tremendous all season long. Had 24 points and 6 rebounds in that loss versus Duke. And then Alex Condon himself didn't play too well against Duke. Obviously, if he plays well, they probably win that game. He was 4 for 11 from the field, had 12 points though. So he did enough. Just you'd like to see somebody like Boogie Flanders, Xavier Lee step into a bigger role than they're in right now. So let's move into the record of Florida. They're 5-3 sitting here today. Do you guys think they're better than the record entails, or do you think the record tells the story of the season so far?
I think the record tells the story of the season. Obviously, you can't really expect much from that Duke game, but then they're not going to beat Arizona. Arizona's proven that they're a great team. The only thing that I would say is a little off is the TCU game, but at the same time, if you're a team like Florida and you lose to a team like TCU, the record's going to show that, and I think that's kind of why people are a little still about Florida. I think if Florida beats TCU, people still think Florida has what they had last year, but since they lost to that, I think people are a little shaky on them.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think it'll end up that they're better than their record. I think right now it's the tail of the season, like you said about the TCU game, and the reason I say they will be better than their record is just because what we just said about the team kind of still developing and gaining its confidence. But right now, I just think I would argue that this Florida team doesn't really deserve to be ranked, and I can 100% get behind not being in the top 15. But I think this Florida team will be better later on this season.
The thing is, if they sit here right now at 6-2 instead of 5-3, the whole country has a different view on this team. Just suffering that loss at home to TCU. Yeah, I don't know how great TCU is, and it's early in the season, but coming off your national championship win, you shouldn't be losing any game until you get into conference play, except for ranked teams, So I do think that the record is pretty accurate for how their season has gone so far. Suffering 3 losses in 8 games is pretty brutal. It would have been definitely very helpful to this Florida morale and record, obviously, if they went into Cameron Indoor and got the win, but we all know how hard and how challenging of a feat that is. So, honestly, to lose by 1 is a win in itself. Just to lose the way they did sucks. Now, let's move into UConn. Terrace Reed Jr. is battling an ankle injury. He's day-to-day. His last game he played in was Illinois, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's when he got the injury. How big of an absence would it be if Terrace Reed doesn't play? Just one of the big 3 guys on their team not playing in this game.
I mean, obviously there's going to be some things that UConn struggles with because he's not in the game. Now, to say it's a huge loss, I don't know if you can go that far. They beat Kansas without him, and so I think they know how to work around it. I don't think this is like a devastating, we lost him, season's over kind of injury, but I think they found a way to play without him. Not saying that they don't need him, but I think they're finding a way with their great coach of Dan Hurley just filling in that role. And then also loading up Solo Ball and their other guys with more of the workload.
I would say for this Florida team, it is a big loss because that's their star center going up against Thomas Hall. I just think it's gonna really amplify this injury during this game. Obviously Florida still has a good center, but they now have to put their backup center or slide the forward over to the 5. So I think it'll be a bigger loss in this game than it is to Kansas, but I still see UConn prevailing.
Yeah, I hear what you say, but it seems like with Florida's games, even Thomas Hall going off, having 20-plus points, doesn't seem to guarantee Florida the win. So I don't think it's a big deal in that sense, but here's what I'm looking for. Braylon Mullins, the freshman guard for UConn, has stepped up since Terrace Reed's been injured. He put up 14 points and 5 rebounds in the win versus Kansas. If he can do that again, I think UConn's in a great spot, and it won't be a big deal that Terrace Reed Jr. is out. Obviously, he's not filling in for the center position, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Just like he said, they went into Allen Fieldhouse and won versus a pretty solid Kansas team. I know they have had some struggles early on, but injuries, very talented, and will be good at some point in the season. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, but something to look out for sure.
On top of that, the backup center has held his own since Reed being out. He dropped 12 against Kansas and 8 against Illinois for the time that he played. So just reinforces that they're doing fine without Terrace Reed.
Dan Hurley's done a good job with his roster. He's gotten a lot of depth. He's got the big 3 that we know of with Ball, Caravan, and Reed. And it looks like Mullins, this freshman, is going to be someone who's going to add into that rotation and a scary lineup for Dan Hurley and the Huskies. Let's wrap it up with some predictions. Who do you guys got in the Jimmy V Challenge?
I've got UConn. Just all things considered, it's hard to go against UConn right now. They've been solid. They're solid against Kansas. They're solid against Illinois. And I don't think Florida will test them as much. I know Florida tested Duke pretty well, but I think UConn comes out on top.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd love to see Florida give UConn a run for their money. I really would. And I think, like we've been saying, and I'll say it again, I think for that to happen, Xavier Lee's got to step up. And I think it is coming, but I don't think it happens here. I think UConn prevails with the injury we were just talking about. I really don't see it being much closer than a 10-point game by the time it's over.
I think no matter what or who wins, it's going to be a great game. We've been blessed with so many great basketball games already from pretty much opening day till now. We've been blessed, and we're continually got a great schedule coming up. But I think UConn wins this game even without Terrace Reed Jr. And if Terrace Reed Jr. plays, I think obviously they're going to have problems, but I think they'll run away with it. Like you said, I wouldn't be shocked with a 15-point win for UConn. I just don't have a lot to believe in Florida right now. They've got a great player in Thomas Hall, but it seems like other than that, they're trying to find their identity. I think it'll come eventually, just not right now. So I've got UConn winning that one. Give me 85-73.
UConn's just too good down the stretch. I mean, they're probably one of the best Final Five coached and played teams.
I mean, that's what it comes down to is coaching in the Final Five.
Yeah, I mean, anytime they're in a close game within the final 5 minutes, I think I've always got faith in UConn, no matter if they're down or up.
Well-coached team for sure. Dan Hurley's done a great job of that program, whether or not you like him. But yeah, that's all we have for you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.